Man, there's like 6 million ways that you can ruin your life, but it's not usually one giant disastrous problem. A lot more often, especially nowadays, a lot of guys ruin their life by just accepting situations that are just barely comfortable enough to tolerate, and then they slowly lose themselves. And if this is happening to you, don't fret, don't feel bad, don't feel negative about yourself, don't beat yourself up. It's normal. It's actually, like if I look around at all the people I know and all the situations that I've been through, it's actually kind of a rite of passage to growing up. Now, don't get it twisted. Don't hear me wrong. I'm not giving you a gold star for being complacent, but just know that you're not crazy and you're not completely abnormal and you're in the right place. And honestly, if you're settling in your life, the real reason you're probably doing it usually comes back to what you were raised on or what you got used to in your life in the past, whether it's when you were a kid or even previous friendships or relationships. And I mean, for real, like if you spent years around people who never quite pushed themselves and never definitely didn't push you, your brain tends to default to viewing basic decency, basic lifestyles, and basic routines as some type of a luxury. And it makes sense. It totally makes sense. Why would you expect the world when in reality you've spent a lot of time closer to the ground? It doesn't make you a bad person. It's just kind of the way life goes. You're in a mental framework where you hold on to a mediocre job, or maybe it's a relationship where the girlfriend isn't good to you and it's draining. And you do this simply because you never built up your expectations in the first place that you deserve better. You call it being realistic probably, but in reality, if you're in this situation, you're just accepting the bare minimum because it's familiar, because it's comfortable, and it's because it's all you know. Or at least it's what you know right now. And for real, like when you spend years in environments like that where nobody pushes to do more and your expectations are naturally dropped to match the room around you, you start to treat bare minimum effort and bare minimum moments like they're good, like there's some type of prize in front of you, like, oh, thank God for my life. And I'm not trying to downplay people who are trying to be grateful and mindful of their situations, but there's a difference between appreciating things and not looking out the window at the world that's in front of you. Like, dude, if you stick with a job that pays just enough to keep you afloat, just enough to pay your bills, and maybe you could save a few bucks in your pocket if you're lucky, or maybe you stay in a relationship with somebody who drains your battery every single day simply because, you know, you think that's as good as it gets for you. This is the best I'm going to get, even though, you know, I'm on this frequency over here and I'm looking in another direction. This person doesn't match my frequency, but hey, they like me and they're attracted to me and they're nice to me sometimes. So here I am. This is one of those things where even though it's comfortable, it doesn't work and it is not healthy. Sugary soda tastes good, but that doesn't mean that you should be drinking it more than water. And man, it's crazy because the setups and the life frameworks that wreck your life are rarely gigantic total disasters. You know, you would think it's kind of like a movie where it's like, oh, you know, I have this action and then there's a big reaction. And it's not like that. Terrible situations force you to move immediately because obviously the red flags are impossible to ignore at that point. They're right in front of you. But the actual real trap, and definitely what we're talking about today, is the stuff that sits right in the goddamn middle. You know, comfortable enough to tolerate, but unfortunately it's boring enough to slowly chip away at your drive and take away your personality. And you know, not for nothing, that's exactly what it is. It works exactly like a slow burn because at first you trade away small habits to avoid daily arguments or daily conflict. And then as time goes by, living without those habits or living without the things that you care about becomes your new normal. And it's fine at that point. But eventually you end up changing so much of yourself that you forget you ever cared about those things in the first place. And that's a prime example of settling for a situation that doesn't match you and it's not good for you. I mean, like, I went through this directly in my last relationship, and no knocks on her, but it's a perfect example of what I'm talking about here today. You know, my girlfriend at the time hated the gym and anything to do with fitness, dieting, lifting. She thought all of it was cringe, which was crazy to me, but I ended up ignoring those red flags because I was just like, oh, you know, this person's fun to hang out with. And my strength training and going to the gym and cardio, it was always my main anchor for staying sharp and healthy through all of my life since I was like age 14 and earlier. But every time that I would grab like my gym bag to go work out, or I would say like, oh, okay, I'm going to go hit the gym. Unfortunately, and this is again, not a dig at her directly, but it was just incompatibility because I got hit with attitude and guilt trips and arguments because I wanted to fill my own bucket. And for her, that was unfortunately not a super compatible thing. So to keep the peace and to avoid fights in arguments, I started skipping workouts, or I would rush through my workouts, or ultimately, even if it's just in the back of my head, I would prioritize it less because it's like, oh man, like, you know, low key, I guess I'm stuck here and I got to put my relationship first, and it sucked. So weeks would turn into months, and my health tanked, my mental health tanked, I gained weight, I lost muscle, and above all, my sense of self and my self-confidence and my confidence in my body dropped. And I ended up sidelining something that truly does make up part of my identity, and it felt terrible. And at that point, I gave away my standards step by step, inch by inch, molecule by molecule, until my environment completely disappeared in front of me. And I was left with what's ideal for somebody else, but unrecognizable by me. But I feel like a big problem that a lot of people end up running into, and I totally don't blame them, is that a lot of people confuse feeling lost and being like, oh, like, I don't know where I want to take my life. I don't know where I want to go next. I don't know what my future looks like. I don't know what I want in my job, relationship, friendships, etc. A lot of people confuse those feelings of just figuring yourself out with actually suppressing themselves and ultimately feeling like they're settling for life. But the real difference between those two things is that when you feel lost, feeling lost, that feeling comes from an overall lack of direction. You want to do something, you feel motivated in general, but you just don't know exactly where to point that energy yet, which is fine. It's actually, sometimes it's a good feeling to be like, oh, you know, the day could take me by storm and you know, always showing up to be the best version of myself, and that's cool. But the difference is with self-suppression and settling, you actively ignore the things you already know that you should be doing. Whether you go to the gym, or maybe you like to paint, or maybe you like to hang out with your friends, you know that you want to do that, but you're not letting yourself do that for some type of alternate reason. And that self-suppression doesn't feel like being lost. It feels more like being indifferent and guilty and deep down going through life pretty much like a ghost. Not to sound dramatic, but it's like you're seeing other people live life and you're more so somebody who has to analyze everything you do. And like, dude, like at the end of the day, motivational videos aren't the only thing that's going to be able to pull you fully out of that state. Like, sure, they help and they give you inspiration and maybe it's all you have right now. But the real shift really starts when you get completely fed up with what's going on and the gap between who you are right now and who you wish that you were being. And for me, the turning point was looking in the mirror and just hating the fact that I was actively helping the process of ruining my life. It sucked. I had to make room to get my head straight, and that meant long solo car rides without music or anything like that, just to talk to myself out loud. Like if you saw me at like a stoplight, you would think I'm crazy, but it helped. It really helped because I got a real feeling for who I was, and it allowed me to be in a vacuum, reconnecting with that previous version of myself. I gave myself heavy gym sessions, and I didn't care who had anything to say about it, and I started to get my discipline back in that way, and I started to make more time to hang out with my real friends who reminded me exactly who I was, how I used to be, and how much they loved me. And ultimately, these are the things that re-centered me back on that path. And for you, it could be something else. For you, it could be like, oh, like I don't lean on friends as much, but maybe I'm gonna go take an art class in my city. Or maybe instead of going to the gym, something you like to do is going on a hike. Maybe you have a hiking group, or even if you like to solo hike, start to fill your own cup. You know what goes in the cup, but you know, wash the dust off of it and learn to fill it up again. And I know, it might sound cliche to say this, but raising your standards will more likely than not end up pissing off a few people who actually benefited from you having none. It forces hard conversations and it forces clean breaks in your lifestyle. And for example, my situation with my ex-girlfriend, it ended in a breakup. And when you reach that point, the best way forward is just being completely honest and straightforward. It's hard to do, but just plainly explain that the situation isn't working staying and admit that staying in a setup or a lifestyle where you act like a deflated version of yourself is literally killing you. It sounds dramatic, but it is true. And also at the same time, realizing that dragging out a relationship or a friendship or a job or whatever while you grow bitter on the inside is not fair. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to your people. It's not fair to anybody. And leaving a situation that drains you is not malicious. It's never, ever malicious. It's just basic maintenance for your life. And if you know that you're suppressing yourself right now, stop overthinking it and just do one tangible thing today. Push this thing in the right direction. If you're stuck at a job, do some resume work or some job applications. If your friendship sucks and it's negative, step back and stop giving them so much of your time. You can do it. You have the power, and I hope you use this video as motivation to start. And you know what? Let me know right now in the comment section, guys. I want you guys to take some time, pause the video, and comment a situation that's weighing on you and just one thing that you plan on doing so that you can push this thing in the right direction. I'm going to be posted up in the comments. I always try to reply to as many people as possible. So let's start a conversation. I do love talking to you guys. And also alongside with that, if you guys want to get some extra time with me, I also do have a community Discord linked in the description. I'm always in there checking in with everybody, saying good morning, saying good night, all stuff like that. So if you guys want to join that, we're building a nice community there, and I'd love to have you guys. But yeah, otherwise, that's pretty much all I had to say. Do one real thing today for the actual version of yourself and get that momentum going.